Now, you heard Lockie mention this morning that sometimes you use his other hand on top of the touching hand. That's an interesting thing to do. And then you could apply the force to your hand, which is doing the touching, and you could start to have quite a different experience out of it, right? Maybe. Please stop. Students, put your, which leg is on top? Put your left leg on top of your right leg again. And now slip your left leg behind your right leg on the floor. Make some adjustments with the front leg. So a new configuration, teachers, go through the same process again. Notice what changes in how much effort you need to apply at each place. When does the quality of effort change? And you're now starting to build up a set of comparisons. The leg on top, the leg in front, and now the leg behind. So you could begin to form a series of hypotheses about the relationship between leg position and how much you have to apply effort. Excellent. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. It's another variable. Yeah, because we didn't do that. So when I just looked a little bit around the room, there's this nice variation between you as teachers in terms of the frequency of your inquiry. So some of you, you move yourself, you return, and then you stop, and then you move yourself, and then you return, and then you stop. And some of you move, return, move, return, move, return. And some of you move, return, move, return, move, return. Now, none of those is the best option. They're all good. They're all good. They're all absolutely fine. But do you know that, are you aware of whether or not you have a preference? And might this in somehow link to the way you do ATM? That you have a style of inquiry in ATM that you are bringing to the FI? That's an interesting question. Is there a style of making an inquiry that you've already habituated to in ATM, and here you are now bringing it to the context of FI? Now, please, once again, stop. And rather than going into a conversation right now, let's go into the next set of variations. Students, could you put one leg on top of the other again? And now the left arm, yeah. Put the left palm, put that left forearm in the crease of your right elbow, and make sure that it stays there. So that means, students, now you're making some sort of deliberate work to maintain that position of the arm. Does that, yep. Now, teachers, go ahead, do your sweep through, feel what is different in your experience when your student is configured like this. Can you feel the difference? She's being nice. Yes. But could you feel the difference immediately? Yeah. I, I know. So, look, try this. Now do it. Feel? Yeah. Yeah. Students, are you sure that you're not letting your forearm move out of the crease of your elbow? Don't let that forearm move. Give your teacher a hard time. No, give them something different to feel so that they can become a well-graded, observant teacher capable of detecting differences. So having said that, please stop. Students, change the position of your arm so that it's lying against the back of yourself with the back of the hand, somewhere in the lower back, maybe even the sacral area. And now go ahead and do that sweep through once more. Oh, great. And some of you are using props. Good stuff. Now, of course, you already are using a prop. You're using the prop of a table. You're using the prop of a chair. You're already using the prop of headrests. You're using lots of props already. It just seems that these are the assumed props of a functional integration lesson. Yeah. Notice what changes in the kinds of efforts you experience when your student is in this new configuration. This is the set of readings for the 2 weeks. Set of readings for the 2 weeks. Okay. okay, please stop and have a conversation, short little conversation. Maybe short, doesn't have to be little. Could be big. Excuse me. Okay, so next stage. Next stage, students lie on the table. Same configuration as you started in. So students lie on the table in the same configuration that you started with. One leg on top of the other, the palm of the left hand on the floor in front of you, the elbow leaning against the front of yourself. And teachers, this time do locate yourself facing the back of your student. And find a place to sit where you feel you have an equal reach spanning the student's pelvis and shoulder. So it's kind of like you're triangulating yourself. Shoulder, hip, and then you. Now, paying attention to your own level of effort, begin to move both of your hands forward, backwards, and then return. Just that. Move both of your hands backwards and return, and make sure that both travel simultaneously the same amount. Same time, same amount. Now, should you feel that there's more effort in one arm and then the other, make an adjustment. And that adjustment could be where you're sitting, whether you're sitting or standing, the turn of your own torso, whether your front is facing their front or whatever. Make an adjustment until you can move both hands backwards simultaneously and the same amount with equal effort. I'm not saying what to do with your pelvis. I'm not saying how to use your trunk, because you've spent 2 years exploring that. I don't need to say it. Don't. Suffice it to say that you're looking for a way to organize your whole self where your intention is clearly transmitted through your hands. Okay, now change your intention. Every time you go to move yourself backwards, the right hand initiates the movement. And when you return, the right hand initiates the movement. So it's always the right hand leading. Now that, when you look with your eyes at your student, that creates a sequence of motion through them. From the shoulder to the pelvis. In what you just did before, there was no sequence of movement through the trunk anyway. Now, as you continue to do that, notice, is there a moment when you detect your degree of effort increasing? And at that moment, is there a correlation with how much through their torso the movement has flowed? Flown? Flowed. So what you're feeling might correlate with a part of their torso that is not so clear in what is being asked. For whatever reason. So there's a sequence, and somewhere along that sequence, there's a difference. That is very useful information. Now, switch that around. Always lead with your left hand. So now the sequence goes from pelvis to head. Depending on how you're sitting. Okay, not everybody's the same. Never mind. she's lying on the other side. Okay, now third variation. Move the right hand and left hand in opposite directions to each other. So if the right hand is going backwards, the left hand is returning, and vice versa. And now what you're doing is you're creating a twist. So initially it was just a simple log roll, then it was a sequence, and now it's a twist. Log roll, spiral, twist. Now pay close attention to whether one hand moves more through space than the other. Why don't you actually intentionally do that? Move one hand more extensively than the other and choose the hand where you experience the least effort. So one hand is moving through a small amplitude, the other hand is moving through a larger amplitude. And notice with your eyes, where do you start to see the twist happen in your student? Now, simply by changing the amplitude of your own motion, you can determine where the twist, the upward spiral and the downward spiral meet in your student's trunk. Preferably, choose somewhere where you have to make the least amount of effort. Go looking for that. Okay, and finally, begin to vary your speed. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes medium. And you can do that hands moving in opposition. You can do that one hand leading. You can do that both hands together. And then there is another variation that we did yesterday, but I've kind of forgotten it. I just remembered it now. You can do that with one hand not moving at all and the other hand doing all the movement. Ooh, sandwiches. Yum. Very kind of you. I'm following you. And you might discover that when you're connected with your student, with your hands like this, there's a certain rhythm, there's a certain tempo that your student will allow you to be in and not others. This is something fascinating about all physical bodies. Now, gravity has this influence on us, and we kind of resonate with it. It certainly appears in walking, when you're walking. Maybe it appears here when you're attached to your student. And this is why I would encourage you to continue to explore this with different people, because you'll discover that different rhythms appear with different people depending on their size, their length, their history, how much fat they have compared to how much muscle. Great. Let that be. And now to finish off, to round it off, return to moving, putting your hand on your student's pelvis, back and forth, what's different? Shoulder, back and forth, what's different? Head, back and forth, what's different? Having done all those variations. And of course, the question is, what's different in you and your effort to move them? Your eyes might also tell you, because you're paying attention, what's different in what you see in your student. But for the moment, you're the priority. What's different? And maybe, I didn't say this yesterday because I want to finish it with it now, maybe the kind of difference that you feel in yourself is the same kind of difference that you experience at the end of an awareness through movement lesson that really speaks to you. It's as if that lesson was for you, that ATM was for you, and you're there, you go back to the reference movement, and it feels wonderful. It feels easy. It feels like, wow, I could be like this. I could live like this. That's a great reference to have, because if you find that reference again and again in yourself whilst you're actually moving another person, chances are something is quite different in them too. So it's a feeling that you learn to recognize and live in and look for. And it's almost like the ground of your sensibility that you're looking for in an FI scenario when working hands-on. Okay, stop, have a conversation with your partner. If your partner would actually prefer to stand up, walk around a little bit first, do that. See, has there been any effect? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you deserve a wonderful break. Have a good, healthy break, good cup of tea, and we'll come back at 1:45. Healthy break.